Well, we're hanging out here with former Bears fullback Jason McKie. Jason, we got to talk the NFL draft. Bears with 2 top 10 picks in this draft. First off, how important are these 2 picks and what can it do to set this organization up moving forward?
Well, it's very important. Obviously, number 1 pick, you definitely want to hit on that. That is the official start of the draft. That's the trademark of the draft. When we had that pick the last 2 years, obviously we didn't use that pick last year. This year, you know, it's said that we're going to draft a quarterback, that quarterback being supposedly a Caleb Williams. So you definitely have to hit on that pick, especially in terms of a quarterback when trying to find a franchise quarterback, because he can really change the trajectory of your franchise. And then, you know, number 9, having that second pick in the top 10 is very important because, you know, you're hoping to get another impact player, a guy that can come in and be a starter for a long time.
Caleb Williams is the guy who's expected to go number 1 overall to the Bears. Give me your initial thoughts on him and how do you think his game will translate to the NFL?
Yes, I think he's a very special talent. Obviously, that's why he's highly coveted. I think he has a lot of different things that he can do that a lot of quarterbacks can't do based upon his skill set. I think he has the ability to just beat you within the pocket and play on schedule. And when I talk about play on schedule, I mean, you know, just making the routine plays, you know, throwing on time, you know, being within the pocket, playing within the framework of a system. But I also think he has the ability that a lot of quarterbacks don't have in terms of being able to extend plays beyond the pocket.
What do you think the Bears should do with that second pick in the first round at number 9?
Me being an offensive player, I'm a little biased. And you know, being on the offensive side of the ball, being a fullback, which is kind of like a smaller offensive lineman, you know, you're like a pulling guard in the backfield. I hope they go offensive line. I think everything starts up front. And when you have a franchise quarterback that you're trying to bring in and you want him to be successful, well, you want to make sure he's protected.
Lots of good offensive linemen, especially in this draft. Who's the guy that you really like?
Offensive, man, I really like Joe Alt, the offensive tackle from Notre Dame. I don't know if he'll be there at number 9, but if he's not, I do like the Penn State offensive tackle Olu Fashanu, who coincidentally he was a teammate of Caleb Williams in high school. So I think that would be obviously a good fit. You get those 2 guys can reunite and they're familiar with each other. But either way, I just hope they get, you know, some type of impact player that can come in and really help elevate this team.
Jason, there will be over 200 guys that will hear their name get called on that stage in Detroit. But the reality is there will also be so many players who won't hear their names get called. As someone who was undrafted, first off, what does it take to make an NFL roster?
Yes, man, it's really tough. Like, you know, you're one of the less than 1% of the population of guys, you know, make it and have an opportunity to play in the NFL. So it takes, you know, you've got to be special. Obviously, you got to be talented, but from a mental standpoint, you got to be mentally tough because, you know, if you're a first-round guy, you know, if you're a guy that was drafted in the top half of the draft, well, they're going to be a little more lenient with you. If you go out there and you don't know your plays or you go the wrong way, if you're not performing up to a high level, they're going to give you a chance because they drafted you high. So they got to make sure that you pan out. But, you know, when you're a guy that's trying to make a roster, there's no room for mistakes. There's no margin for error. So you've got to be perfect. And you know that. So each and every practice, each and every meeting, film session is an evaluation. You've got to treat it like it's the Super Bowl, you know, because you never know what could be your last play or you never know what play on that practice field can elevate you on the NFL roster.
What is your advice to the guys who won't hear their names get called?
Yeah, I mean, don't be sad. I mean, it's only a select few that's going to get their names called, but at the end of the day, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And like I said, if you're detailed in your preparation, you know, if you're going out there and making sure that you understand the playbook, you understand what you're supposed to do, you go out there and you make plays in practice and then continue to make plays throughout the preseason where you give yourself a chance to make a team. So I would just say for those guys, just go out there with a chip on your shoulder and take what you want.
Let's talk about your career in the NFL. Just first off, how do you put into words what your career in the NFL was like, especially getting to play for the Bears?
Yeah. It was a dream come true. You know, I've wanted to play football ever since I was 6 years old. And, you know, when people ask me, well, how did you start playing football? Well, I started playing football. The funny thing is my mom actually played flag football. And when I was a kid, you know, going to her games, whenever there was a break in the action, she said I used to run on the field and take the ball and run with it. So he used to have to chase me to get the ball back to start play again. So that's how I fell in love with football. But it was a dream come true, you know, to be able to play for an organization like the Chicago Bears that has so many great players, you know, so many Hall of Famers. We got 3 going in this year. I mean, you know, a guy I played with It's just amazing. And I had a bunch of great teammates, bunch of great coaches, and it was just special. You know, I couldn't ask for anything, anything more. It was definitely a blessing. Learned a lot, built a lot of relationships that I still have to this day. And when I look back on my career, I'm just thankful.
You were on the last Bears team that made it to the Super Bowl. What do you remember from that game?
Yeah, I remember it was raining. It was pouring down. The funny thing is, it went so fast. Like it was, it just like that whole week, just being down in Miami and spending that time with my teammates, that was extra special because obviously we didn't achieve the ultimate goal, but we achieved the goal that we had set out to achieve back in training camp. But I just remember the game going by so fast. I remember, we came out hot. Obviously, Devin returned the kick, and offensively we did a lot of good things in that first half. And then the second half kind of got away from us. They got a Hall of Famer on their side of the ball, actually a couple, Marvin Harrison and then Peyton Manning. So, those Hall of Fame guys made Hall of Fame plays, and it got away from us. But at the end of the day, it does hurt every day thinking about, not being able to achieve that ultimate goal. But when I look back and really analyze the situation and the times, what we had to go through to get there, I wouldn't change it for the world, because there's some players that don't even have the opportunity to play a playoff game. And, I'm one of the select few that have had the opportunity to not just play in the Super Bowl, but to start in the Super Bowl, and that's coming from being an undrafted free agent. So, like I said before, just for all those guys who have NFL dreams and are trying to make a roster, go out there and take what you want. Don't give up. It's possible. I'm living proof of that, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of those guys make these rosters.
Well, Jason, as we approach the end zone here, you're still involved in the game nowadays.
Yeah.
Of course, you're the head football coach here at Carmel Catholic High School. What does this opportunity mean to you, especially to give back to the next generation of players?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. We have such a great community, a great school with a lot of resources, high academics. So, being able to just help continue to develop young men, and help prepare them for the game of life, by doing that by way of football. It's a great opportunity and a blessing. And I'd be able to do that with two of my teammates who coach with me. Olin Kreutz is our offensive line coach. Rasheed Davis is our offensive coordinator. And that's what we wanted to do. We were blessed and fortunate to play in the NFL, but to get a head start on life, and that's what we want our kids to do. We tell our kids, hey, if we've only prepared you, or if we only developed you in terms of being a good football player, then we failed. We want you to be a great man, and we want you to develop into being a great man. So that's what we try to achieve here, is we want to develop men and not just football players.
Jason, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.